In 1917, a man named John Harvey Kellogg, a Seventh-day Adventist doctor with a very specific agenda, coined the phrase that still shapes your morning routine to this day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Now here's the part they don't put on the cereal box. He didn't say that because of science. He said it because he needed to sell cornflakes. The phrase was a marketing slogan dressed up as nutritional wisdom. And it worked so well that 100 years later, you still feel guilty skipping breakfast, even though the research on whether breakfast actually matters is at best mixed. Now, let me ask you something. If a cereal company could convince an entire civilization to reorganize their mornings around a product, what do you think the auto industry, the banking industry, and Wall Street have done to your financial decisions? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the 5 biggest financial myths, each one invented, engineered, or amplified by someone trying to sell you something. And for every myth, we're going to run the opportunity cost math, because every dollar you spend on a lie is a dollar you sold from your future freedom. Let's go. Number 1, trucks hold their value. The marketing is, trucks are investments. They hold their value. They're built Ford tough. Drive a real truck. Be a real man. The auto industry spends roughly $35 billion globally on advertising every year, and a massive chunk of that budget is devoted to one psychological mission, linking truck ownership to identity, masculinity, and competence. Ford alone devotes the majority of its ad spend to trucks and SUVs. The commercials don't show you depreciation schedules. They show you a dust-covered F-250 hauling boulders through a mountain river while a gravelly voice whispers something about capability. Here's the stat they never put in the commercial. 75% of truck owners tow something once a year or less. 70% go off-road once a year or less. 35% never haul anything in the bed. The King Ranch lifestyle, the $90,000 crew cap, leather seats, chrome everything, is for most owners a $70,000 costume they wear to Costco. Here's the reality. Percentage versus dollars. Now, here's where the marketing gets genuinely clever. When the truck salesman says trucks hold their value better than sedans, he's telling you a technically true but financially devastating lie. Let's run the math. An $80,000 truck depreciates roughly 40% over 5 years. That sounds reasonable, right? Only 40%. Only 40% of $80,000 is $32,000 in absolute dollar loss. Meanwhile, a $28,000 sedan depreciates 55% over 5 years. That's $15,400 in dollar loss. So the truck holds its value better on a percentage basis, but you just lost $20,600 more in real money. You didn't win. You paid a premium to lose more. And that's before we talk about higher insurance premiums, lower fuel economy, trucks average 16 to 20 miles per gallon versus 35 to 40 miles per gallon for sedans, and interest on financing. An $80,000 truck at 7% over 72 months costs you $21,000 plus in pure interest. Add it all together, and that truck isn't an asset. It's a subscription to looking wealthy while destroying your actual wealth. The opportunity cost is that $1,076 monthly truck payment invested instead at just 8% annual return from age 25 to 65. Is $3,756,324. We'll come back to that number at the end. Write it down. Number 2, you need $1 million to be rich. The marketing is max out your investments, retire a millionaire. The $1 million milestone is the finish line. This myth is peddled by the financial services industry because the more intimidating the target, the more likely you are to feel hopeless, give up, and let them manage your money for a 1 to 2% annual fee that quietly eats $200,000 to $400,000 of your retirement over 30 years. The $1 million myth serves their business model perfectly. It keeps you paralyzed. It keeps you paying them. Here's the reality. The $10,000 game changer. Here's what the research actually says about where financial psychology changes. Vanguard research found that having just $2,000 in emergency savings is associated with a 21% higher level of financial well-being versus having nothing. A Pew Research study found that people with significant financial anxiety have measurably higher cortisol levels, the stress hormone that triggers fight or flight responses and makes strategic thinking biologically harder. But the real turning point is $10,000. That's the number where a car breakdown shifts from a catastrophe to a minor annoyance. That's the number where you stop checking your bank account before swiping your card for gas. That's the number where the bandwidth tax, the Harvard-backed research showing financial stress imposes a cognitive hit equivalent to losing 13 IQ points, starts to lift. Think about what that means. Right now, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you are literally making financial decisions with a cognitively impaired brain. You cannot see the myths trapping you because scarcity has consumed your mental bandwidth. $10,000 doesn't make you rich, but it gives you back your brain. And with your brain, you can build the million. Stop waiting to be a millionaire to start acting like someone who's financially free. Act financially free with $10,000 and the million becomes a natural consequence. Number 3, high income equals wealth. The marketing is get a raise, get promoted, 6 figures and you're set. Make more money and your problems disappear. This myth is the engine that drives corporate culture, MBA programs, LinkedIn hustle posts, and the entire coaching industry. More income equals more wealth. It's the American financial gospel. Here's the reality. The quietly broke millennial. In 2024, Goldman Sachs released a retirement study that found something extraordinary. 40% of Americans earning over $300,000 per year report living paycheck to paycheck. Let that settle for a second. $300,000 a year, paycheck to paycheck. How? 3 words: lifestyle inflation. Here's the most precise analogy I can give you. Lifestyle inflation is like being upgraded from economy to premium economy on the same flight. You have more legroom, your seat reclines a little further, the meal is slightly better. But here's the thing, you're still on the same plane, headed for the same destination. More legroom doesn't change where you land, and a higher income that gets entirely consumed by a bigger house, a nicer truck, private school fees, country club memberships, and premium everything doesn't build wealth. It builds the appearance of wealth. The quietly broke millennial isn't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because every time their income went up by $10,000, their expenses went up by $12,000. The wealth gap isn't an income problem. It's an identity problem. The hardest part of this isn't the math. It's developing the identity of someone who keeps money rather than someone who simply earns it and elevates their lifestyle to max. The person who drives a used Toyota on a $300,000 salary isn't weird. They're the person who's going to retire at 50. The opportunity cost? Every dollar of lifestyle inflation is a dollar you chose to trade for a temporary better feeling instead of permanent optionality. That premium economy seat upgrade? Over 30 years of investing the difference, it's the difference between retiring at 55 and dying at your desk. Number 4, your 9 to 5 is your enemy. The marketing is quit your job, start a business, hustle culture. Your employer is stealing your time. The 9 to 5 is the enemy of freedom. Now, to be clear, entrepreneurship is real. Building a side business is real. Passive income is real. But the narrative that your employer is your oppressor and your job is a prison, that's a myth that will make you poor. Here's the reality. Your employer is a venture capital firm offering seed funding for you incorporated. Here's the shadow portfolio, the 30% of compensation that most employees ignore entirely. First, the 401k match. Your company offers a 6% match on your $65,000 salary. You contribute $3,900. They inject $3,900 for free. That's a guaranteed 100% return on day one. No hedge fund, no crypto play, no real estate deal offers you that. And yet 1/3 of employees don't take it, leaving nearly $4,000 of free money on the table every year. That's $7,800 per year invested at 8% for 30 years is $883,609. Show me the side hustle that delivers that with zero risk and zero extra work. Second, the HSA. The health savings account is the Ferrari of tax loopholes, and almost no one is driving it. Triple tax advantage, pre-tax contributions going in, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses. Max it at $4,150 per year. Invested, don't touch it. over 30 years at 8% is $470,125, completely tax-free. Compare that to a regular brokerage account where you'd owe capital gains taxes on every dollar of growth. The HSA alone is worth $100,000 in tax savings over a career. Third, education reimbursements, software licenses, and professional networks. Your employer pays for certifications, conferences, and tools that increase your market value on their dime. That's not employment. That's a company-funded business development program. The opportunity cost. Quitting your job to escape the matrix before extracting maximum value from your employer's benefits is like walking out of a casino when you're up $50,000 because you're too good for this place. Stay in the game long enough to collect every chip on the table, then leave on your terms with escape velocity, not desperation. Let's bring this all together with the most brutal piece of math in personal finance. You're 25 years old. You walk into a dealership, you drive out in a $90,000 truck, financed at 7% over 72 months. Your monthly payment? $1,076. In your mind, this is a reasonable financial decision. The truck holds its value. You work hard. You deserve it. But here's what you actually signed the moment you drove off that lot. That $1,076 a month invested at 8% from age 25 to 65 is $3,756,324. That $1,076 a month invested at 10% from age 25 to 65 is $6,804,710. You didn't buy a truck. You sold between $3.7 million and $6.8 million worth of retirement freedom for a vehicle that depreciates $36,000 in the first 5 years, that sits in your driveway 95% of the time, that 75% of owners use for towing once a year or less, that the auto industry spent billions convincing you represented your identity, your masculinity, your competence, not their profit margin. This is the Kellogg's of personal finance. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, invented in 1917 to sell cornflakes. Trucks hold their value, invented to sell $90,000 depreciating liabilities. You need $1 million to be rich, invented to keep you paralyzed and paying management fees. High income equals wealth, invented to keep you upgrading your lifestyle instead of your net worth. Your 9-to-5 is your enemy, invented by people selling courses about escaping jobs they themselves have never had. Every single one of these myths has one thing in common. Someone else profits when you believe it. Here's the thing about busting financial myths. The math isn't actually the hard part. You just watched me do it in 10 minutes. It's not complicated. The hard part is the identity shift. It's deciding to be someone who reads the depreciation schedule instead of the Carfax. Someone who maxes their HSA before upgrading their apartment. Someone who measures success by what they own that generates income, not what they drive that generates likes. The auto industry has a $35 billion marketing budget to convince you otherwise. The financial services industry has trillions in assets under management riding on your confusion. The creator economy profits from your desire to escape. You have a 10-minute YouTube video. Use it. Because every dollar you stop spending on myths is a dollar that starts working for you. And at $1,076 a month over 40 years, that dollar is worth $3,756,324. Drop a comment. Which myth hit you hardest? And if you want the complete strategy for building the shadow portfolio and hitting escape velocity, it's all in the video linked right here. See you there.